בעזרת השם, בזכות הצדיק רבי חיים פינטו, הקדוש ברוך הוא bless the entire קהילה, the entire קהל, ברכה והצלחה, שמיה גדולה, מלכה דם וחטאת וקהתה, may we all let Hashem come together in celebration of our own personal redemption, the גאולה בית השם for all כלל עם ישראל. You know, but yesterday we mentioned something in the shiur that we would like maybe to lengthen a little bit, being that it's something that I think is very important for all of us to keep in mind, especially when we are starting a new week like right now. In this week's beautiful parasha, we read about the story that Yaakov was traveling. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sets the sun early in order for Yaakov to sleep in a certain place. And Yaakov goes to sleep and he starts to dream. And in his dream, there is a ladder that mutzav arzav starts on the ground. And the head of the ladder goes all the way to the sky. The Torah says, on that ladder, there are angels climbing up and angels climbing down. Many of Chazal asked, what was the reason of those angels climbing up and climbing down? Are the angels going up? They have a purpose. And if they had the purpose going up, what was the purpose of the angels that were coming down? So as we know that there's nothing in the Torah that happens for no reason. Nothing happens for an exhibition, for a show. Everything has purpose, everything has a place, everything has a reason behind it. So what really was the reason of these angels going up and coming down? So there's a beautiful Gemara in Masechet Chulin, page Tzadik Aleph, that talks about this idea. It says the angels that were climbing up and climbing down were angels that were looking at Yaakov down here in this world, looking at Yaakov up in the world above, and in complete shock that the Yaakov that is up and the Yaakov that is down look alike. And in order to confirm that that is the same person, they kept on climbing up, looking at Yaakov, being shocked, climbing down, looking at Yaakov down here. So what was this concept? So there's a beautiful Zohar HaKadosh that says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created with every individual two entities, where you can look at it like a shadow. You have the main entity that is the physical body here in this world, and then you have an additional entity that isn't as graspful, isn't as physical as the main body, but follows the body and has the exact same shape of the body. It's like the shadow. A person moves, the shadow moves with it. A person acts, the shadow acts with it. It's not necessarily an own entity of its own, but it's a tolada, it's a reaction, a second entity that is born from the first. Zohar HaKadosh says the same thing is applicable for every individual, where every individual has like a shadow in the world above, has like a reflection in the world above. Whoever studied the Zohar HaKadosh of Oshana Rabbah, that every year when we do the class, we study that Zohar. Whoever was with us this year or the year before, we go through this concept how they judge the shadows. They don't even judge the individual. They judge by the shadow of the person, and if a person looks at Oshana Rabbah in the moon and he sees the shadow disappear, but it's a whole teaching. What is the purpose of this reflection? Zohar HaKadosh says it's very, very simple. It comes for two purposes, for two reasons. First of all, it's in order for Shamayim to be able to see what a person is up to. Because if a person, his double is up there in Shamayim, it's constantly moving and constantly acting, so they see exactly what he's doing. As well as it's a way of Shamayim being able to expand and to grow. Where every mitzvah and every good deed that the individual does here, that shadow does up there. If the reflection does it up there, that light is not only held to this world, that good act is not just stuck within our physical world, but rather it expands the higher worlds as well. It's a way of ensuring that with our world's growth, the world above will grow with it. The only thing is that the reflection follows us until we do something wrong. Meaning, as long as we're doing mitzvot, it follows us. Once we do an averah, chas v'shalom, the shadow, the reflection, it pauses. And that brings us for the second reason why this reflection was made. It was made that after 120 years, a person will come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I didn't do mitzvot because of this, and I couldn't do mitzvot because of this, and I couldn't be perfect because of this, and I couldn't. All these excuses for all the reason that he couldn't be better. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls the reflection, which essentially represents that exact same person without sin, without wrong, only good, and says, look what you could have been. Look what you could have done. Look what you could have achieved within your life. This is the exact same person as you, just without any sin and without any negative that is done. Zohar says that those are the two reasons that we have this reflection. The Gemara in Chulim says that the reason the angels were baffled, because when they were going up, they see the perfect image, the perfect reflection, which is normal. But when they came down, they realized that that same person is up there too, where the reflection and the physical body were identical. Like we mentioned yesterday, it says in the Gemara that the angels, they wanted to kill Yaakov, because they said if a person was able to reach to such a perfection up and down, it can't be from Kedusha, it needs to be some sort of witchcraft. So the Gemara says that they wanted to take a hammer and they wanted to smash his brain. There's even Mefarshim that say that's the reason why the rock needed to protect his head, where we have the dream of the rocks became one rock, where they truly wanted to kill him. Until it says, Hashem mitzavanav. Hashem made himself present on Yaakov. And the Gemara says, like a father that sees flies approaching the face of his child, he does like this. Menifotam. He hits them, pushes them away, makes sure that the flies don't harm his child. The Gemara says that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did to protect and to save Yaakov from those angels. And that's where Yaakov got this titlement of Titen Emet. Yaakov, what's Emet? It's consistency. Truth is consistency. If truth changes, it's not truth. If truth starts A and ends B, it's not truth. Truth needs to be accurate. It needs to be stable throughout the whole way. Yaakov got the titlement of Emet, being that he had such a close similarity up here, up there, and down here. But this Rabotai can teach us actually a much, much bigger lesson. A lot of the times, Rabotai, we think that we are in competition with other people. We think that we are in competition with the world, with our friends, with our competing companies, with our competing colleagues, with our competing community members. Not at all. The real competition is with yourself. The real competition that we all need to be focused on so much is with our own reflection. It's with our own version of up there. Because that is what's going to really be held against us one-to-one. If there's one entity that we need to constantly be with competition, is the best version of ourselves. And this is what the Zohar says. That there isn't a man in the world that ever reaches to his full capability. Where sometimes we think, I'm happy, I'm comfortable. That's not comfortable, that's called laziness. Because in reality, we always have more to grow. We always have more to expand. And there isn't such thing as a person that reached his capabilities. So Be'ezrat Hashem, in the merit of Yaakov Avin, in the merit of all tzaddikim, may we all, Be'ezrat Hashem, get the desire to compete with ourselves, to try to imitate our reflection as much as possible, in order that we will be, Be'ezrat Hashem, as close as possible to the best that we could be. Amen.